Will Smith just did something that is far more ground-shattering as what he is recently famous for. And he can't seem to catch a breath when it comes to his marriage to Jada Smith. So much that he seemed to lost a lot of support in the public eye. But now after his wife revealed something about him and cannot stop disrespecting him, he did something extremely smart and is turning the cards back into his favor. In this video you will see what the thing was that Will did that changed everything. You get 3 key principles that you can steal from him when you get disrespected, and you will see how to stand up for yourself, dominate the conversation and getting instant respect without coming across like a jerk. But first let's see how Jada disrespected Will again and how he turned it around and became much more likable with it. In 2020, Jada Smith, seemingly on a quest for attention, dragged Will into the spotlight. And the weird thing is that the world was watching while Will wrestled with his public humiliation, and he was obviously hurt. But thankfully she did not make it all about his pain but all about herself, and she feels so much better now.
I just wanted to feel good.
Will's emotional depth was tested again in 2022 with his infamous Oscar incident. It was just a joke, he laughed, she didn't, and his image took another hit. Then a couple weeks ago Jada released her memoirs. And with that she shocked the world with a new statement that put Will's slap in a new light and made him look even weaker. She revealed that they both were separated since 2016. And when he was asked what he thinks that she revealed this in her memoirs, he answered something that was truly remarkable. When you've been with someone for more than half of your life, a sort of emotional blindness sets in, and you can all too easily lose your sensitivity to their hidden nuances and subtle beauties. But what makes this response so perfect? And what can you apply to your own life and be instantly more likable? Will follows the first of 3 key principles here, to which we will get in a moment. But first I want to point out the smart play of words. A wordplay that is just genius, and if you steal it, you're gonna be a force to be reckoned with. He made a small, barely noticeable joke about her, but he disguised it as a compliment. He said he lost his sensitivity to her hidden nuances and subtle beauties. Her beauties are so subtle, you have to look very hard to find them. The pickup scene would call it a knack, others would call it a backhanded compliment. In rhetoric, this figure is called litotes.
Litotes.
Basically a deliberate understatement. It's like saying, oh, that joke wasn't totally unfunny. Your project had a hint of professionalism. Of all the ideas today, yours were certainly unique. Her subtle beauties are so subtle, it's hard to see them with the naked eye. This creates a laugh, makes him look positive, but also gives him the opportunity to talk about his wife's behavior without making him look as careless as her. But now let's look at the 3 main key principles you can steal from Will Smith to make a rude person instantly regret disrespecting you. Ever heard of the golden rule of communication? I'll explain it in a second, and it's probably not what you think, but first we need some context. There's a beautiful story about a Bedouin arriving at the gates of a rich town in the desert. In front of the magnificent gates of the town, he sees a beggar. The Bedouin greets him, gives him a dime, and asks him, "Hello, good sir, I'm new to this town. Tell me, what kind of people live here?" And the beggar grunts back,
"Only a dime, I'm sitting here all day, burning in the sun, and you rich Bedouins cannot share any of your wealth with the little folks. The people here, they're horrible. They ignore me all the time, and they never have a single dime for me, and they're always in a bad mood. My advice, go where you came from and never return."
The Bedouin was speechless. That sounded horrible. But he wanted to make himself a picture of the town, so he went on. A few steps further, he was greeted by another beggar.
"Hello, good sir.
The beggar smiled.
Isn't the weather just beautiful? What brings you to this town?"
"Oh, someone's in a good mood. Here, have some coins," the Bedouin laughed. "I wanted to visit this town. Tell me, what kind of people live here?"
"You are too generous, good sir. May you be blessed."
The beggar radiated with joy.
"All the people here are just wonderful. They are humming happy songs. They always share some food with me and spare some change they carry around to help me back on my feet. My advice? Find a nice house and raise your kids here. It is just lovely."
Imagine you were one of the beggars. Which one would you be? Hold that thought and let's continue. You might ask now, what has this to do with the Fresh Prince? Like the beggars, Will had to make a decision how he was seeing things. When he was faced with the challenges, he could have focused on the negative or looked for the positive. And his actions consistently show that he chooses the bright side. We see this perspective in how he handled the public's reaction to his personal life. In his response I mentioned earlier, Will follows the first key principle in being likable. The golden rule in communication. And no, it's not he who has the most gold makes the rules. It is actually much more powerful. Treat others like you want to be treated. Will obviously does not want to be disrespected in public. And he has all the right to lash out onto his wife now. But he doesn't. He treats her with respect, laughs about himself and his mistakes, and stays positive. You can be sure he's not happy with the whole thing since the interview in 2020. But he decides to stay positive and give his wife the attention she apparently needs, even if it's against his favor. This is someone to look up to. This is some Captain America level behavior. This is selflessness. Putting your own needs and wishes, your ego aside, so the person you love can shine. And on some outlets he is still shamed by this. But this actually shows emotional intelligence and maturity. Ow. Emotional maturity is staying calm when your kid throws a temper tantrum. And it's taking full responsibility about the things that happen in your life. And it's also the second key principle. Will is not defending himself with his answer. He does not say she's an evil flirkin. He says things happen over time. And because I fell in love with someone, I might not saw the full change that person went through. He took responsibility about his decisions and things that happened. Again, he's not happy with what happens for sure, but he is not letting his ego win and is aggressive. Instead, he reminds himself that this was a person he once loved and might still do. Why would he decide to hate her? Why would you decide to hate someone? What you hate about others, what you find annoying in others, it's something that you dislike in yourself. What you love about others, on the other hand, is something that you love about yourself. Or as the German writer Hermann Hesse wrote, if you hate a person, you hate something in him that is part of yourself. Oh, and by the way, this channel is about helping you becoming a positive influence, develop charismatic confidence, and build meaningful relationships. So click the like and subscribe button if you want to overcome self-doubts and become the social master that is already inside of you. Back to the program, seeing something you hate as a part of yourself. Carl Jung said, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Ask yourself, if you judge others about something, do you maybe fear that this something shows up in your own life? If you were judged as stupid, is that other person maybe afraid to do something stupid that could lead a parent figure to lash out again? If you were judged as being fat, is that other person maybe insecure about their own aesthetics and feels to need to look a certain way so they are accepted by others? Or if you were bullied in school, do the bullies look like they have their shit together? No, I just hate when others drive too slow. What happens if you were caught driving too slow? What do you fear happens? Are other people behind you maybe getting angry? And reminds you this other people's anger of something you try to avoid in your life. This is called projection in psychology, and it follows a basic principle. Everyone around you is a mirror of your inner world. We see the world how we internally see ourselves. Like the happy beggar that loved the city, and in return the people in the city helped him to get back on his feet. And good news, this is a conscious choice we make. And this brings me to the next point. What you can do to stand up for yourself, dominate the conversation, and getting instant respect without coming across like a jerk. But before that, let's look into the strongest key principle in Will's life. That when you copy it for yourself, you will become the go-to person in your social circle, and you will radiate charisma and confidence and naturally attract more people into your life. Jada was recently guest in Jay Shetty's podcast, and he read to her a letter Will wrote to her about she releasing her book. Remember, in this book she publicly revealed that they were separated for over 7 years. Imagine the shock of Jada's revelation, so intense that it could power a small city. But let's watch the clip.
If I had read this book 30 years ago, I definitely would have hugged you more. I love you endlessly.
This is huge. The third key principle is there are no justified resentments. What do I mean by that? Well, let me play you my favorite song, but because of the copyright claims here on YouTube, I can play you only the first note. Ready? What do you think? You like it? It's an awesome song, right? No, you cannot judge the song because you haven't heard it. Will applies the same formula here. Even though he knows Jada for 30 years, he is still open to the possibilities that he doesn't know her at all. I haven't read the book, and no one besides her and Will knows the whole story and how the other person really is. But even from what we know, what happened around Will in his career, in his private life, in his recent years, he could feel resentment, but he chooses to understand. Resentments not only wear you down when you could be lighthearted, they are also unfair. And maybe you caught yourself in this video too, to label Jada as this and that, or Will as X and Y. The thing is that we don't know what happens in the minds of people, what their past is and what their traumas are. We like to paint the world in black and white, in good and bad, because that makes a complicated matter, like the world, easier for us to categorize. The world is colorful. Behaving like this around people will make them feel safe in your presence. You will notice that people start to truly open up to you and that you make them feel better. That is charisma, and it's what makes you the go-to person in a social circle. And it's what makes you attract people naturally. But now let's look into the final point. How to stand up for yourself, dominate the conversation, and getting instant respect without coming across like a jerk. But before that, remember to click the like and subscribe button, because this channel is about helping you becoming a positive influence, develop charismatic confidence, and build meaningful relationships. Will does it in the dawn of what's happening around him so beautifully. Do me a favor and watch this clip where he posts an official statement about what's happening around him.
My opinion of the...
He's showing that his life, his problems, and all what is happening is so insignificant compared to the vast cosmos. With this 10-second clip, he gives you all you need to know what you need to do when someone is rude to you, when someone disrespects you. He does this by knowing that respect is nothing that you demand, but something that you give to yourself. Here are the 5 self-respect pillars he uses here. First, perspective is everything. Compared to the vastness of the universe, our problems are smaller than a grain of sand on an endless beach. Second, self-reflection with humor. Being able to laugh at yourself is a sign of strength and maturity. It shows resilience and the ability not to take everything too seriously, and that is essential for your well-being. Third, control the narrative. Addressing the issues head-on is like steering a ship through a storm. You determine the course, no matter how fierce the wind blows. Fourth, embrace imperfections. No one is perfect, and mistakes and misunderstandings happen. Instead of dwelling on them, it's more productive to acknowledge them, learn from them, and then move on. Fifth, the power of positivity. A positive attitude can light up the darkest room, like a single candle turning the night into day. You can say about Will Smith what you want, but he is a bundle of joy. Another thing Will understands naturally is to crush insecurities and rise above them. Most people, however, think totally wrong when it comes to self-doubts and insecurities. There are actually just 3 steps you need to do to overcome insecurities and become someone others look up to. Click here and watch them now.